I know women are going to ignore this because a man is saying it, but there's some truth being spit here. Female academics tainted by positive discrimination, says professor. TLDR, participation trophies aren't worth anywhere near as much as legitimate first place trophies. And a lot of people are going to be learning this the hard way. The reputation of all female academics is tainted by positive discrimination, Cambridge University philosopher said yesterday. And I've been saying for years, and yet I'm not a college philosopher. That's weird. Women's universities cannot be sure they have jobs on their own merit because many institutions insist on shoehorning female candidates into shortlists, according to John Marenbon, honorary professor of medieval philosophy at Trinity College. Okay, the jokes write themselves for this one. Of course, the professor of medieval philosophy would be so misogynistic. He's right, though. Now, to be fair, your average diversity hire, with a few exceptions, but as a whole, the average diversity hire doesn't care. They just want the easy paycheck and the power that comes with it. They couldn't. A lot of them know damn well they're unqualified, but they don't care. They get in theirs. They're getting paid. There are a few dumb ones that they legitimately believe they got in on merit. And they just it just breaks their soul when they find out that's not the case. But for the most part, those who got there on merit, those who actually care about the job, they know who they are. And they're none too happy that people are questioning them now because they belong to the same protected group as all the diversity hires that are giving them a bad name. So in a paper published by the Politia think tank, Marenbon, a fellow of the British Academy, wrote that more women were entering academia naturally and that parity would have been achieved without affirmative action. Well, I don't know how it is in Airstrip 1, but in the U.S., women outnumber men in college 3-2. It's a 60 to 40% split. And yet they still get preferential treatment. They still get women's only scholarships, all these women's only programs, all this women's success, women's careers, women's this, women's that. And men aren't even allowed to have one because as soon as a men's program crops up, they get sued for discriminating against women or they just get shouted down. And then they wonder why men are still just opting to not even participate in this garbage. Now, he said nothing needs to be done except what always should have been done in academic appointments. The best person academically and intellectually for the job should be chosen. This guy's going to get fired because that's apparently white supremacy in current year. Yeah, meritocracy is white supremacy. Did you guys know that? All right, why then have academics as a group pursued a different discriminatory policy instead of patiently awaiting a change that, had it been allowed to gradually happen and of its own accord, could not have but have raised standards? Well, how are they going to virtue signal if they did it this way? That's the thing. They want to pat themselves on the back and be a good person and virtue signal. That's all it's about. Why have they rather adopted a policy that might be calculated to harm those female academics, the great majority who would have won their places in a genuinely open competition, but can now never be sure of that? Now, this I actually disagree with. So first off, if you're a diversity hire, chances are you probably wouldn't have gotten it in a genuine open competition. And second off, you can be sure of that. Eventually, throughout the course of your career, your accomplishments will be compared to your peers. And it's going to be very apparent whether you earned the position or you were given the position. Doesn't matter what job it is. It's not just academia. If you've been in the field for 10 years, you'll be compared to other people who have been in the field for 10 years and what they've accomplished. And then you'll know whether you genuinely won your place. So a policy that through a few unsuitable appointments put the reputation of all female academics at risk. Now, this is true. There are so many diversity hires out there that unless you do your research and know them personally, you can never be sure. The one answer is that academics simply do not care because they consider a social aim, equality in numbers of male and female academics, more important than any intellectual one. Now, and this is 100% true. That's exactly what it is. They're activists first, academics second. The social cause and virtue signaling takes priority. So elsewhere in the paper, freedom to speak, freedom to think, Arif Ahmed, another Cambridge philosophy professor, said that freedom in British universities was at a low ebb. He's not wrong. Free speech was being fettered by direct intimidation and the cancellation of speakers and academics, he said, as well as universities taking a corporate position on contentious issues and micromanagement of speech, typically through harassment and discrimination policies. Well, you realize that ground zero for a lot of this shit is academia, right? So I find it kind of funny that now a lot of academics are finally speaking out against it, now that the monster they created is being turned on them. Don't think the irony is lost on me. Now, Ahmed criticized anti-racism and unconscious bias training, basically racism, that is compulsory for staff and students at some institutions. Nigel Bigar, a professor of theology at Oxford, said in a publication, in a number of British universities, high-level committees have decided that the decolonization of teaching and research is a desirable thing. It is as if they dare anyone to object. The effect is intimidating and the atmosphere is chilled. And we were warning you about this for years, but you stayed silent. Oh, I don't want to rock the boat. Oh, well, I have a family to feed. I don't want to risk losing my job. Yeah, you stayed silent when it happened to all the rest of us. And now that it's coming for you, you have a lot to say, don't you? Sure sucks that no one cares about academia anymore, huh? If you guys had stood up sooner, you could have at least salvaged your reputations, but a little bit too late for that. And nothing of value was lost. Shit test failed, basically.